Vladdy Jr. spoke to Enrique Rojas and Ernesto Jerez, two ESPN reporters, about the details of the negotiations with the Blue Jays front office that didn't lead to a deal, a long-term extension. And he turned down those claims, refuted those claims about salary expectations that were comparable to Juan Soto's deal, which was 15 years, a little 765 million bucks. Quote from Vladdy: "It's much less than Soto. We're talking about many fewer millions than Soto, more than 100 million less. It was the same number of years as Soto that they threw out there, but it did not reach 600 million. The last number we gave them as a counteroffer didn't reach 600. I know the business. I lowered the salary demands a bit, but I also lowered the number of years. I'm looking for 14. I would like 14, 15, even 20 if they give them to me, but doing it the right way." So we got some insight here. What do you think, AJ, was fair? Because I keep harping back to the comment that pissed me off when Mark Shapiro, team president, said they went above his value. Do you feel like that's above his value?
No, because he's the biggest name on the free agent class, right? At the end of this year with his age and what he's done in his career. I think he wants the Players Association, Tony Clark was here, and you know what they tell every player? Get every dollar you can. And I think that Vlad was fair with this. He spread it out over long term. He didn't go to the Soto number. I don't know that it might be a while before we see somebody hit the Soto number, unless Vlad. But to me, I think this was very fair. And then for him to open up about it, because what happens a lot of times in these negotiations, and Todd, I think you agree, especially with these huge free agents, when they don't get signed and they leave, the team is like, oh, we tried. And you never really hear from the player side. So to hear Vlad be honest and come out and say, hey, here's what we gave them, and then they said no, you know what it does for him? It puts him in a great PR, public relations place in Toronto, and it also puts the pressure back on the Jays. So this was brilliant by Vlad and his team.
Yeah, it's amazing to me thinking we're not talking about, guys making 100 million, 200 million, even 300. Now we're in the range of double all those prices. And I don't know exactly what they're talking about. I just know Vlad Guerrero Jr. is a really good ball player. And if they're close to, they weren't close to 600 million, again, it's just amazing to me that we're talking about this much money. I don't know how much the guy is worth at the end of the day, but I know if we're talking over $500 million, I mean, that is a whole chunk of change. I get it. As a ball player, you want to get as much as possible. If this is the way that, baseball is going, which is great for the players, so be it. But, that's a range where I have to really sit back and talk to my family about, hey, listen, they're not close to what we want, but they're in that style because, I got people coming over at the house here asking to buy the house. I told them 20 million, but if they give me 10, I might take it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the business part of me talking out loud. It might not be the best example, but you always shoot high. And if they come down to the spot where you really want it, I don't know. I find I have a hard time saying no to over $500 million. That's just me.
We don't know what the Jays
I don't think they got there.
Yeah.
I don't think the Jays got there, Todd. I think this is Vladdy saying this is what we wanted, and I think the Jays, because the Jays were way below this, because even when Shapiro and Ross Atkins came out and said, oh, he sent us something that we didn't think his value was that. So let's say he gave them 15 years worth, random numbers here, 550, okay? And the Jays went back with 15 years, 350. I mean, that's a huge difference. So I think this is what Vladdy went. And again, I think it's brilliant by his PR team and his team because, again, it puts all the pressure on the Jays because everyone in Toronto, the whole country of Canada wants him. So they're like, well, we can't afford this guy. We're going to offer Shohei 600.
And I don't mind him coming out and talking and being transparent, as Scotty said, too. I think that is a brilliant move. He's not bashing anybody. He's not cutting the team down. He's just saying, listen, I even gave him less years, and I even put it down of what I'm worth, but I actually went lower as well. So it's a great move, and it is back on the Jays to understand that they do need to come up from this offer, whatever it was. But, if this is the way the game's going, these players are going to be in a really, really good situation one way or another.
Okay, let's do this. Raise your hand if you think that the Blue Jays went to 500 plus on the offer to him.
No, now looking more at the quote, he said even less than 100. So less than 100 from 600 is less than 500. So I would say they're in the 4 range.
Okay. Well, guess what? If he hits the free agent market, he's probably doing better than that. You don't get bats like this very often. And here's the number one thing that gets paid in the free agent market at the superstar level, which is what Vladdy is. I don't care about the position in this case. Youth. He's got youth. It's going to cover his age 27 season on for free agency. That's
he's also
the
has
price.
power. He's got youth, power, and he gets on base, and he's a good hitter, right? So he's kind of got the four, right? Youth, power, he can hit, and he gets on base. So whatever position he is, I mean, he's got it all lined up to get paid a lot of money, which he will. But I wish, listen, as a fan of baseball, I wish he would stay in Toronto and they could figure this out because they got the money.
I agree. I mean, I remember, Ken wrote about how they botched this whole situation, the front office afterward, because also they had so many opportunities to get him to the right number. And the price, of course, is going to go up after the Juan Soto deal comes out. But Ken was trying to figure out what a number would look like for him. Miguel Cabrera, a while back already, at a much older age, was getting $31 million per year. You can say the contract didn't work out well at the end. That's going to be the case for almost any deal that gets players up to their upper 30s and even beyond, okay? But this is a guy who might get himself $40 million a year. And if you put that over 14 years, that's $560 million. And that's still about $200 million less than Juan Soto. The numbers sound crazy, but this is the price of admission for getting superstars like this. Todd Father, Aaron Judge is in his deal right now that covers him from ages 31 to 39 years old. If Vladdy gets a 14-year contract, he's going from 27 to 40 years old. So you're getting more of those
40,
prime years in terms of what every front office slices up for numbers with age.
Do you think, I know, AJ, you want to comment on this. Do you think in most of these negotiations, it's the years or the money? Do you guys think that the biggest problem is?
It's the total commitment for me. And then that's why they spread it out over a long period so they can lower the AAV.
Yeah, and the only reason I said that because Soto brought up about, years or whatever it was, the one that he can either opt in out or, have an extra year or whatever on the contract. So that's where it's like, are we nickel and diamond on some of these things or, are these really things that they really need to care about at the end of the day? So, it's hard. It's tough. You see the decline on some guys when they reach a certain age too as well. So they got to take that in consideration. But no doubt, AJ, I'll let you comment more on this, but he deserves every penny, Vlad Guerrero Jr. in Toronto. They should pay him for sure.
All I'm going to say, Todd, is this. Listen, here's my thing. Scott brought up Cabrera, Albert Pujols as the example, and you just brought up, guy's age. But what did the Angels get out of Pujols? 500 home runs, 600 home runs, right? 3,000 hits. They got all these things out of, and guess what they got to do? They got to celebrate. They got to make a bobblehead. They got to have, Albert for a week. Albert might hit this home run or this hit or whatever it is. With Miggy, same thing with Detroit. Yes, was he declined? They weren't competing. They weren't competitive at the time. And you know what? He hit his 500th homer. He got his 3,000th hit. All in Tigers uniforms. So every time they show that highlight, it's Miggy in a Tigers uniform. Same with Soto. Every milestone he hits, he's going to be in a Mets uniform. Vladdy should be in a Jays uniform every time he hits whatever it is, whatever numbers these guys get to, right? That's what you're paying for. You're paying for not only the years, but you're also paying for the lasting legacy of Albert Pujols got his 500th homer as an Angel. He got his 3,000 hit as an Angel. Those things are all things that guess what a franchise can do? They can market and sell it to people. So that's why these contracts, yes, the play on the field might go down, but the marketing goes up.
I'll add to that. The Jays, over the length of that deal, will probably have some really rough times. He's going to be the reason to go to the ballpark. The Jays also do not have a highly rated farm system right now. We are not looking behind us and going, but they have X, Y, Z all on the way. Let's use an example within the division. Prospects are prospects, but the Red Sox have superstar potential with multiple players that are in their farm system. There is no one quite like that in the Blue Jays farm system. So it's not like you're looking behind you going, we're going to be fine. We're going to replenish this. This is a legacy play. This is a player who's in his prime years, who you still think can have MVP seasons ahead for quite some time. And he's not going to be known for his glove. Neither is Juan Soto. So it is, in my mind, a massive, massive mistake that continues here for the Blue Jays. And I give credit to Vladdy for being transparent here too, because Todd Father, I think he's a little hurt. he's seen them go after Shohei Ohtani. He's seen them offer close to, I think, $700 million for Juan Soto. And he's like, I'm right here. What do you think about me?
Yeah. Yeah, in the back of your mind, I think it plays a little bit of a part. But when you're in negotiations, you throw that out the window and explain, like, listen, every agent and every player knows that each team has the money to spend if they're willing to do it. This guy is a staple of your organization. He moved to first base. He's not afraid to play corner positions. I think he's an excellent ball player. And the business part of baseball is the part I really don't like, because then all of a sudden you get this friction, and the most agents do a really well job of kind of not saying exactly what the brass of each organization is really truly saying behind closed doors. But it's really hard to come to the ballpark every day knowing that this guy is trying to crush me a little bit here and saying I'm not worth this or that. So they do need to figure this out.
This also isn't a small market team, AJ. So if they get something done and they're, saying, "Oh, we won't go past 475," and he's like, "I need 550." I know it sounds crazy, but over the length of 14 years for a franchise like this, it is just not worth it. So anyway, we'll step aside. We have
a whole
Zach
country.
Littell.
We have Zach Littell coming in.
Yeah.
By the way, they have a whole country, not just a city. They have a country. They have one team in that country. It's the Blue Jays. They have money. Rogers. Todd, you've been to Toronto. If you've never been to Canada, Rogers Center, Rogers TV, Rogers Communications, Rogers Pizza, Rogers this, Rogers that. Rogers is everywhere.
If he has a big year, they're in so much trouble. I'm telling you. There are other teams that are going to pay him more for his services. So for them, playing games right now, at the very least, is going to cost them more money if he's able to test the waters. Everyone thought Soto was going to get a lot. Nobody thought 765 with potential to make it even more was going to be the final number.